Hi and welcome to the Global Travel Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Collins, who with my expert guests will take you on a weekly journey to destinations around the globe, providing travel inspiration, itinerary ideas, practical tips and more to help you plan your next travel adventure. Hi and welcome to episode 19 of the Global Travel Planning Podcast. This week I am joined by guest Mandy, travel lover and blogger, who is here to share some of the amazing places she has visited across the globe and who, as you will hear, loves to inspire others to have a go and step outside their comfort zones and just say yes. I first asked Mandy to introduce herself and share where she lives and a little bit about her background and love of travel.
Hi Tracy, my name's Mandy and my husband Trevor. We've been together for 36 something fabulous years, and our goal in life is just to, besides the name of my website is Spend Kids Inheritance, it's kind of looking a bit like that these days. Now that we've retired, we're cracking on quite a bit, but we are just at the beginning of COVID, when everything shut down, we had done all 7 continents. And we're now up to, by the end of this year, it'll be 66 countries. And it's not a race for us. It's just a sheer passion. We love to travel. We love to go to new places instead of revisiting old ones. We know there's a new favorite just around the corner. So as much as we really want to go back to Italy and do it, we just have to stop ourselves because we haven't been to Iceland yet. And that's a bit about us. It's our kids are grown. We've got grandkids. And bearing in mind that you just don't know what's around the corner health-wise, and we dodged a few bullets in our way, we're just going to keep going. My motto is just say yes and adventure before dementia.
And I have to say, Mandy, so we've met through my UK Travel Planning Facebook group and my podcast. So we've just recorded an episode of the UK Travel Planning podcast all about your fantastic trip around the UK. But when I kind of met you and started talking more to you and having a look at your website and your fantastic videos and how inspirational you are, and also we've kind of realized that although we were born on opposite sides of the planet, not very many days apart, actually, interestingly, in the same year, that we now live very close to each other. We have the exact same passion. We have an absolute total love and desire to just go and explore this wonderful planet of ours and meet as many people. I know you're also a people collector. I love meeting people.
Yeah. It's not hard when you have for the gab like we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had to ask you to come on the Global Travel Planning Podcast. We are both in our mid-late 50s. I'm not going to say exactly. And I was kind of talking to somebody else about how different it is as you grow older and the way you look at travel. And I must admit now in my late 50s, I kind of look at it differently to when I was in my 20s. I was traveling solo around the world and I was kind of happy to stay in a hostel and do the backpacking thing. In fact, I did that in my 30s with my husband around Europe as well.
Wow.
But as you get older, you kind of just go, I don't know if it's not a kind of I have to fit everything in. It's just okay, I can maybe afford a little bit more and I just want to go out there and really just have all the experiences, do what I can.
Yes. And I don't like missing out on things if it's there and I come home and someone says, you just drove past it. So I really like reading up a lot about places and listening to fabulous podcasts like yours that tell you of these little pearls, little gems or little beaches or castles or out-of-the-way places. Crazy things like I want to go to Bram's Castle in Transylvania for Halloween. Why not? If you're going to go visit the castle, why not go on the 31st, put some red contact lenses in and be an idiot like everyone else? It's a bit like how I like to live. And I like to not think about how the age that I'm getting now, because I just feel I'm more adventurous now than ever. The body's not necessarily is keeping up with me, but I'm doing my best to drag it along with me. And yes, I started traveling when I was 18. I went halfway around the world for about 6 months and ran out of money in London, sold stuff. And I remember my mum saying, don't ever forget about that Salvation Army. And I'm thinking, oh, don't be ridiculous. And then it was like, oh, gee, I wonder if there's a Salvation Army in Hawaii because I think I've got no more money left. I arrived into Hawaii for a weekend on $25, ready to sleep on a park bench, and just hooked up with a lady that I met on the bus on the way back to Waikiki, and we end up sharing a room for a night. So it's weird. You survive, and I was only 18. Like, really? I look at my kids and I thought, oh, they would never have done that. And they look at me and they go, you're crazy, Mum. So it sort of gave me a lot of confidence to kickstart my life. And I always wanted to be a travel agent. Never happened. So instead of being paid to travel, I've paid to travel. And we've done what we could through our lives with marriage. Like, I mean, I met my husband when I was 21, and, you know, we started a family and stuff. So you just adjust to smaller trips, even to a 3-day weekend or shorter flights. If you want to travel from Australia with your kids, it's ridiculously long and expensive. So you kind of don't do it till they're a little bit older. And that said, we probably waited till ours were a good bit older before we took them. We took them to China, I think, on their big first international trip, where, mind you, we had to sleep at the airport on our arrival and on our departure because of their planes being delayed. That was like, welcome to the world of international flights. And it was great. It was great in the long run. In retrospect is a really good word. So, and then when we get into our 50s and stuff, health issues start coming in, knocking on the door. You know, you might need a new knee, or the big C hits your family and hits us. And we got through that very luckily. It was 13 days before we were hitting our first Mediterranean cruise, getting all excited. And 2 weeks prior to that, you know, specialist said that word. And anyway, he just said, well, you're going, you're just not taking this with you, and we'll worry about that when you get back. And that's the attitude that we took. And we got through that, and with flying colours, no repercussions. But it changed our view on our life forever. It made us focus on our wants and our needs now and not wait to be retired, because too many people wait till they're retired and croak, or they can't be bothered, or they're too busy looking after their grandchildren. And we're like, I don't know, we've done our bit in this world. We're going to try to do what we can when we can. It's all relative. If you've got time and money at the same time, fantastic. Sometimes it takes retirement to get that. But if you don't, you just got to squeeze them in when you can and just squeeze out every last drop. It's kind of me.
Absolutely. And you do that, honestly, 100%, don't you, Mandy? You absolutely do. So I wanted to talk to you about, and it's something I was thinking I'm going to put on my website, Global Travel Plan, because I haven't done it. And I often get asked, where are my favorite places? What are my favorite experiences? So I thought, you know what, I'm going to turn the table. I'm going to ask you, because you've been to so many countries, so many continents, more than I have. I've not set foot yet in South America or Antarctica. So there's a two that I still have yet to explore, maybe next year, maybe the year after, I'm not sure. I have a hankering to go back to Africa, so I grew up there, so between the UK and Southern Africa, and Africa's calling me back. I can feel it. Though I'm going to do a trip to the Maasai Mara to see the Great Migration next year.
Yes.
And I was saying to Doug, I said, watching your video yesterday, I was like, well, that's it. That's going on. We're definitely doing that next year.
Right.
So you've been a lot of places that are on my bucket list. You've had a lot of experiences that possibly aren't on my bucket list because they scare me. But let's talk about your 3 favorite places to start with.
Well, let me just say that for you to do South America and Antarctica, to tick those 2 off, generally are at the same time. So if you book a trip to Antarctica, you're going to go from Ushuaia. So you'll get your last 2 in the one holiday. There you go. That's squeezing everything out. All right, so I had to think, and I always ask people when I meet them. I love meeting travellers because everyone just wants to know, what do you like the most and where's next? So I ask them these questions, so it comes up a lot. Favourite city, we disagree on. We don't have the same one here, but surprisingly enough, how much I love the outdoors and safaris and mountains. I love Paris. And my husband does too. We fell in love with Paris. It was just, we had 3 days there on our own in 2019 before 3 days with our English friends came over to join us, and we met them on a New Zealand cruise, and we've kept in contact with them. And so we cracked on and did all the things they've seen in Paris, the usual things. And then we did other stuff with them, like the Moulin Rouge and Sacré-Cœur and Montmartre. And I just loved it. I love the fact that you feel like you're just in the 17th century. In like the airport run to Paris, I thought, what the hell is everyone talking about? This is awful. Then you get down to where the Seine and the Eiffel Tower and all that. I just loved it. It was everything. I just walked, and we just walked and walked and walked, and I loved that. So I'm yet to see the rest of France. That's all I've done in France. My husband has done a bit of Normandy, and in September this year, we're off to Africa again. And then I'm doing Mozambique for some horse riding, and Trevor's going back to France to do more World War II stuff. And then we're going to meet in Switzerland. So that's coming up in September. The favourite country is Italy, without question. It's amazing. And once again, we haven't done enough of it. And just the usual, really, Rome, Florence, Venice, and a bit of Naples. And then we're on a cruise. But I just adore it. And it has so many different sectors, from the lakes, which we haven't seen yet, and then the Amalfi Coast and Tuscany and Puglia. I think we could spend a good 2 months just living there and just cruising around. I think that would be great. You jump on a train for 2 hours and you're in Florence, and 2 hours you're in Venice. There's not a lot distance to have to travel to get to a really extraordinarily different region. And, of course, the weather would play a lot. You don't be necessarily going there in winter. A lot of things will be closed and stuff. But I look forward to really exploring that again. So that's my first two favourites. And then my third would be, it's more of a bit of a place/experience, and that's the continent of Africa. A lot of people go, I want to go to Africa. Well, Africa is really big. You can be a bit more specific, and we're heading over. There'll be my fourth time over there in September. So I first did Kilimanjaro for my 40th, as you do, kind of. And it was a dream since I was a teenager to do to Kili. And it's an interesting mountain because it's the world's tallest freestanding mountain. And it's the only equatorial glaciers in the world. So you go from rainforest to Arctic without moving latitude. And but 5 people died on the mountain the week before us, and one of the girls in our trip stopped breathing on summit night. And it's brutal. It was surprisingly brutal, but it was a great achievement. And we did also a charity climb, so we raised a lot of money too, which was really, really good. So, and then that said, we did Serengeti and Ngorongoro Crater while I was there. And I was with a group. I wasn't with Trev. Trev just said, I had to climb mountains every day at work. You can do this one on your own. So I did. And then this time, just in 2019, we both went over to the Maasai Mara, which you saw the videos of. And we did 3 days. Actually, we stayed in the Giraffe Manor in Nairobi. Oh, my goodness. It's expensive, but it was a one-off thing to do. And it was still, even when we were there, even how dear it was, we thought we needed another night. It was one of those most astonishingly incredible hotel experiences of our life. They put their heads through the windows at breakfast and wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you can give them kisses. And they're just they're beautiful. It was really great. That was outstanding. So from Nairobi, we flew out to the Maasai Mara, and we had 3 nights glamping, which wasn't, it was just huge big tents that happened to have like a little stone bathroom behind it. It wasn't, chandelier glamping, but we had elephants and rhinos around the campsite at night time, so you couldn't get out of your tent to go for a walk after dark without a guard. And the guard just had a torch and a stick. That was it. You know what those hippos are like? They'll go away with a stick, won't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Those lions will go, there's a stick. I'm going to run in the opposite direction. I'm not going to eat these people.
He's got a stick. You can just hear them screaming. Oh, that's me. No, but I remember my pillow up against the canvas of the tent, and I could hear the hippo chomping on the grass directly outside the canvas. It wasn't Trevor snoring or me snoring. It was a hippo. That was a really amazing experience. And we had 3 incredible days there. We did a balloon flight, and we had 6-hour safaris during the day, and then another one just at dusk or one at dawn. It was fantastic. That was really, really good. And we got caught up in a stampede on the Great Migration, which was insane. It was a David Attenborough moment. It really was amazing. It was a privilege to be there, but you can be there yourself anytime in August, September. If you're going to go to Africa, go in the dry season, so all the animals are looking for water, so they're easier to find, they're easier to see. And the Great Migration, it's astonishing. So that would be, and then, so we're doing Kruger at the end in September.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, well, so I grew up in Southern Africa, and I can't wait to go back. It's actually 2009 was the last time I was back there. So as I say, the pull to go back, and Doug's going to come with me. He's not actually been over to Africa. So it's just a joy to explore. And I just love going out on a game drive, and, you never get sick of it.
All of them are different, whether it's
absolutely.
What you see, it's unpredictable. And we were blessed both times. Actually, the time we were on the Maasai Mara, the amount of animals, you've got a dirt landing strip for a start. They've got to shoo the animals off the landing strip for you to land. There's a clue. And then the drive back to the camp, there was lions mating, and there was everything you could think of was happening. So that's top 3 favourite things, let alone other experiences that we've had. And quite often they're all in Africa.
So tell me about some of your other experiences, things that I haven't done yet that I kind of go, wow, hats off to you, Mandy. Maybe you're going to give me some guts and I'm going to try some of these things.
Well, the Devil Swimming Pool at the top of Victoria Falls, I'd seen that for a while and I went, I am down for that. You've got to go there in the right season. It's got to be the dry season because otherwise it's flooding and there's no swimming pool at all. And
no, you're going to get swept off the end and down the falls.
Yeah, and it was just like I always wanted to do it, and Trevor, God bless him, came with me to do it. Hates cold water, and it is a bit of a trek to get to the swimming pool because you've got to climb over rocks and then you've got to swim in the current of the river that we've just seen crocodiles floating past for breakfast. And we're nearly for lunch. So just to get to the pool, and it was freezing cold, but it was so exhilarating. And there's like a natural shelf underneath it, the edge, and you sit on it. It's an infinity pool on the edge of one of the biggest waterfalls in the world. The guides help you. They hold your legs as you almost lean over. And probably 3 meters away from you, you'd be dead. You go there without a guide and you go over the falls. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So you just follow the rules. So that was something. Really great photos too. And then a great white shark cage dive off Cape Town, as you do. That's a heck no from you, I can see. It wasn't too bad. We actually made a pinky promise that if we decide not to get in the water, we'll go out on the boat, we'll sign the indemnity form, and but Pinky promised that it's okay. You don't have to go. You don't have to add burley into the water. So we put on the wetsuits and we let the first lot do it. We thought, we'll go. And I was always going to do this. And but this one, we weren't underwater with the full scuba gear on. You're in a cage that's actually attached to the boat. They pick it up when they go out there. It's just attached to a buoy. They tie it to the boat, and then you step into the cage, which is about chest deep, and you've got a mask on your face. That's all. And then they throw out the big chunks of tuna, and they lure the sharks to the cage. And then when they get close to the cage, the handlers go, divers, down, down, down. And you grab a bar and you pull yourself underwater so you can see them coming at you. So we didn't have a great white visit us. We had 7 bronze whalers, which were very entertaining. And apparently the great whites were the dive before us and the dive after us. But you'll only ever get 1 because they're soloists, whereas we got 7 bronze whalers, which were really quite exciting. So anyway, we'd do it. Trevor loved it, and we'd do it again. Okay.
Well, watch the space for next year. Maybe I'll do that one.
Oh, good on you. And what was another one we did? Climbing Kilimanjaro was definitely a highlight, the hardest thing I've ever done. And then Antarctica is another extraordinary experience. I remember the Drake Passage is either the Drake Lake or the Drake Shake. And on our first night, we're holding onto our single bunk beds, and you could feel the boat going up a big wave, get air, and then come crashing down all night. And I thought it was like a cross between The Perfect Storm and the Poseidon Adventure. And then the next morning I woke up, it was just like little white horses outside. And then I found out later that on a scale of 1 to 10, that was a 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were sailing down, and then instead of looking at the horizon, you see a band of white. And it was like it took my breath away that we were actually heading to the bottom of the earth, that ice shelf coming. It was incredible. And the penguins and the sea lions and the whales and it was incredible every single day. But what I do recommend is just be fit enough to go. Don't leave it too late if you want to go. Don't wait till you're too old. Otherwise, you're just going to do a cruise on one of the big cruise lines that just kind of wave at the icebergs and just go past. But you get into an expedition ship and you get ashore and you get into the zodiacs and you need to be fit to swing your legs in and out of the zodiacs. So I do recommend people just to, if you want to do it, don't wait. Do it.
That's definitely on my list to do. Doug won't be able to do it because he gets severely seasick, and so we're already aware of that. That trip across that strait is particularly famous for being really difficult. So I think that will be either a solo trip, or I'll have to get somebody to go with me and do that one, because I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
They do have great seasick pills. 90% of the ship was sick. I wasn't. I was just bored.
So any other experiences that you can think of? Because I know you've done loads.
Yeah. Look, we went swimming with the sea lions in Galapagos. So we did a 3-day Galapagos sort of island-to-island G-Adventures cruise after we did Machu Picchu. So we did Machu Picchu and the Amazon and Lake Titicaca. I did that for my 50th, and then we ended on Galapagos, and that was extraordinary. That was another Attenborough moment. And diving in the water, just going backwards off the boat, holding your nose kind of thing. And there's sharks everywhere. And they said, oh, they're just friendly. And you kind of hope so. And, so we were sort of just floating watching the sea lions, and they were up against the rocks. And the tide was pushing us or snorkelers closer to the sea lions. And I could hear the guide in the boat screaming blue murder at us because we were getting too close to that part, because the males could be quite dangerous. But we couldn't help it. It was pushing us. And then one of our group, he told us later when we got on the boat, he said, I was looking at these beautiful sea lions, and then the next minute everything disappeared. Everything. And he turned around, and sure enough, there's a shark. And just like, he couldn't wait to get back to the boat. Oh, my God. But it's like out of a cartoon. Poof, like an Acme rocket, off they went. But I think other things, just like the Taj Mahal, that was extraordinary. We did a Passage to India cruise from Athens to Mumbai through the Red Sea, where our ship got wrapped in razor wire because of pirates.
Wow.
They all do. Even the cargo ships, they all get wrapped in razor wire. And we had these very handsome, muscly men appear on our ship, and I went, you don't look like a cruise passenger. Hello, sailor. So they were SAS guys, and they had the hoses out ready to hit them with fire hoses. And my husband's a rural fire brigade guy, and so he said, oh, I'll help him. And they also they had us they gave us a bit of a grill. They said, if you see a boat with some men looking very suspicious coming towards your boat, you go back to your stateroom and lie on the floor. Now, the back of our boat was a Viking cruise line. It's got like a duck board at the back, so easy boarding. So we're up the top one day, and we're going down the Red Sea, and there's a speedboat coming towards us with 5 men standing up across, and they're waving with their arms. Not a hello wave, they're like crossover with their arms. And I thought, oh, this doesn't look good. They're coming straight at us. And I thought, and did everybody go off to their staterooms? No. We run over there with our phones and we start filming it. Of course we do. This is going to go viral. He went behind the boat, and we all look at each other and went, so we all shuffled across to the other side of the boat, hoping he's just going to get spat out on the other side. And sure enough, he went around and he just kept on his way. But it was very suspicious, and it was a little bit nervous at the time because we're heading down towards Yemen.
Yeah.
And, North Africa with Somalia, the pirates are a big deal.
Yeah.
So they I think they took it off when we got to Muscat in Oman. So that was good. So at the end of that trip, we ended up in India, and we just took ourselves on a 3-day tour from New Delhi to Agra and to see the Taj. So on our very last day of a massive trip, we woke up and went to the greatest shrine of love that's ever been built. It was beautiful. And I got my favourite photo that a random person took of my husband and I sitting on Lady Diana's bench. You've got one too. Yeah.
I did get one last month, and I have to say India has stolen my heart. I absolutely loved it. I think I was there for about 6 weeks, and it wasn't enough. I just want to go back and do more.
Oh, and then one other, I think, highlight that we experienced was, again, Africa on the Serengeti. 3 of us were camping for a 5-day camping tour with no fences and we were told not to go to the outskirt of your camping thing because there's lions and everything out there. And one of the girls said that there's going to be a meteor shower somewhere in the world tomorrow morning between 3 and 6 a.m. And we thought, well, we're in the flattest, darkest place, dry, no moon. We'll get up and have a look. So we did, and it was the Perseid meteor shower, which happens every August since I've found out since. And we must have seen 100 meteorites striping across the sky just pre-dawn, and listening to lions and hyenas in the background.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we had to go to the toilet, which was quite extraordinary too. So this, normally in Africa, you got the long drops, right?
Yep.
If you're lucky, this one had a bench to sit on and a lid, but still a hole and a long drop. So it was just getting on towards dawn, but still dark. We had our head torches. Everyone's still in their little dome tents, too scared to come out because we've been oohing and ahhing at all these meteorites going, oh, look at that, oh, look at that. I think they're all pretty scared by now. So three of us go over to the toilet, and we're going to take turns. And two of us are going to stand out guard because we could see all these eyes dancing around, like red eyes, and trying to think what they are. They cats, they whatever. So the first of us went into the toilet. And because this one actually had a toilet seat and a lid, she lifted the lid up, and we're just out there worrying about lions. She comes running out, nearly with the pants down, and she lifted the lid up, and a whole colony of bats flew out of the toilet.
That's brilliant.
And they're micro bats, so they're all flying around our head torches because they're attracted to the light. And it's just like, from the pits of human feces to our face, it was just like, oh, good Lord. You just got to say, Africa.
Well, on that note about toilets, no. On that note, though, I'm gonna end this podcast because I know we could talk forever. And what I'm gonna ask Mandy is, when you come back from your next trip, because I know you're going to leave fairly soon, is to come back and talk all about that. Because I know you got Iceland, which is high on my bucket list. It was one of 7 countries that I wanted to get to over the last 6 months, and it was the one I didn't get to out of the 7 on my list.
Okay. And Greenland, and we're doing Svalbard down Norway, and we've got Croatia and New York as well, and a road trip across America with Yellowstone, and we're going horse riding and going to rodeos too. So it's going to be a very diverse holiday.
Oh, honestly, Mandy, it's going to be a fantastic trip. I can't wait to chat to you afterwards. There's a lot of places there that I absolutely love, New York, Croatia, Norway. So I'm interested to hear about your views on those, but as well as the places that I haven't been to that you're going to be visiting. So we can share travel inspiration with everybody around the world from our little spot in Australia. So thank you so much, Mandy, for coming onto the podcast this week. It was absolutely fantastic to chat with you.
Thank you, Tracy. Pleasure talking to you, as always. See you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Global Travel Planning Podcast. As always, show notes can be found at globaltravelplanning.com. If you've enjoyed the show, why not leave us feedback via text or a review on your favourite podcast app? We'd love to hear from you, and you never know, you may receive a shout out in a future episode. But as always, that just leaves me to say until next week, happy global travel planning.